Okay, so I was going to start off with going through the to-do list, but discovered my last set of changes didn't work as quite as expected. Um, so let's start off by we've got a we've been doing some recent work on changing the file storage format the uh, for the Roo.js builder files, which are a JSON file. Now, if I go in here and I have a look at this file particularly, you can see that we treat an object as having properties, and then it has these the children. Basically, an object in a sort of object sense is an object, and then it has children which are also objects. Now, the problem we ended up with eventually in this design was this sort of a little hack around sort of some of these properties, whereby the types, etc. We were showing properties were more complicated than just a simple sort of key value. So the new format was supposed to change that into an array of objects, so each property was an object in its own right, etc. Now, most of the code has been done for that, and if we go back here, we have some tests, and what I've got here is a test web whatever. So what I want to do is like run the web test web text on Vue.js on the P-man dialog material. So hopefully it remembers how to do that. So we actually ran this test earlier in the week, and I ran it and it did an analysis on the whole diffs. And it successfully let's see, so that test was supposed to output result in tests results. So for some reason we've been running this and we've actually told it to do this before, and it seems to have reverted back to putting it into the temp directory. I mean, considering it's a shell script, it shouldn't really have been. So in cursor, it's quite good here as the. Now the odd thing here is it. Let's stop it. Now I feel like I'm repeating this. Right? It should not go in a separate subfolder, but in the test results. Now this directory is excluded from the git ignore, so we can actually just chuck stuff in there, all the testing we want to do. There we go, so if I can put it in the right place finally. Okay, actually I wanted to test the BJS to the new format. Is there a test for that? So the issue we have is that although the code currently will convert the old BJS, which is the legacy format, to the new JavaScript, which is our generated code, the bug I found was it wasn't generating a BJS file conversion to like version 3. Yeah, testing will upgrade. There we go. So it's So it's found that, so we previously were testing the BJS3 conversion on the roobuilder itself, which uses the code for its UI components. So yeah, it's really so we can add change mod to the accepted list. Wonderfully trusting of it to not do something too silly, but okay, so let's just get rid of this folder as it's not delete to trash. Okay, so well, what we wanted to do should be outputting the new file as BJS3, so I can review it. So it looks like it might have tried to call it that, upgraded JSON. Well, we actually BJS3 is a far more sensible, logical name for it. So from that perspective, that file looks like it's working. So maybe it's the fact we were messing around with it earlier and it completely broken anyway. So as far as I can see, the code is working reasonably nicely. Let's just delete that file. Okay, so can't actually see the issue here, but basically the one file. So let's just start going back to the original issue. If we run it, you should be able to see. Being material. Okay, so this is the situation we were in before. So I have now got my layout correctly here. I think the last thing I was fixing was we have property name here. Now the idea here is that you can actually type in roo dot button. There was a couple of tickets, and one was if I search for button, I can't find it. If I go roo dot button, then I can get it, sort of thing. Which I'd rather be able to search through the classes when I'm doing that, like a proper search. But let's start with the our to-do list, which was in here. So significant pull down type. Okay, so let's start. One of the tricks quite often they say is, like, if you're starting a new topic to the chat, don't keep going. So our last one was running about tests, so now we're going to go and have a look at and I think what we'll change is just go to planning. Now I don't really, sometimes I wonder whether the planning part, it sometimes goes off on its own thing and actually tries to edit code, but I can't remember exactly. Yes, anyway, let's see what we do. So the first task is to look at the class selector in, I know it's in left, window, left, props. There should be a event handler for when the value is changed, and it should create a action. Look at other code in that file on how actions are created. Run. Now, it's an interesting little aside while we're doing this is go into cursor, and so now you can see here, so we're on the 11th, so it's now 6 days, it's basically a week, and we are on the team plan, which I think was $40 US. Last month we spent basically the 2 team members, and it lasted possibly until the I'd say 3 or 4 days before the end of the month, and then we ran out, so we had to top it up and add a few more. We're now just 6 days in and we've nearly used up our quota. And am I using it more? I wouldn't say so. So their change from using the billing method before to this one is probably going to be a bit expensive this month, which is why we're looking at so we're looking at buying a machine which can actually run the AI models locally. Okay, so so it's managed to find the correct thing. So if we go agent, create an action node, user. Okay, use plan A there. That's the correct behavior. Don't forget to follow rules about building PJS. So it correctly determined that. I don't know whether it managed to determine. Hold on, stop there. You do not need to create any new files. The fix should be done by modifying the BJS only. Not quite sure why we're scrolling like this, but it's interesting. The styling on this light. I mean, I personally don't like black screens with white text. It's okay. I mean, they're okay for terminals, but editors I always have light themes, which seems to be a little unusual in the industry. But I guess I'm very old school. So, but interesting. This theme is the colour theme they've picked for the chat is a bit light to read actually. Yeah. Which is interesting. I just switched recently to trying to use Claude Sonnet rather than Auto. I don't know if that one might be more expensive as well, which is not helping us. And the other thing here is that the one we were using before, Auto, it probably wouldn't have asked me that level of detail before doing the activity. Maybe, I don't know if this could be in an update in the most recent. So let's start looking at what he's doing. So yeah, so notify selected, yeah. Model fcan string ADL selected fqn. Okay, now we've changed quite a bit, so modify prop type. Let's stop it there. Stop. You use node modify prop type, not new action. So it should be creating an action. It shouldn't be modifying. Now, the idea here is we've wrapped any changes to the nodes tree in actions, and then we can use those for undos. So each action we do has a reverse action sort of thing. I do like the way it keeps saying you're absolutely right, and of course I'm absolutely right. I'm the one in charge here, aren't I? But anyway, let's see. So it's now add is for adding nodes. Yes, it's correct. It's changing a node. So it's taking a lot of thinking to go through and work out. So I don't want it to build it yet. Don't build until I've reviewed the change. Now it's talking about the fact that the change prop is, so let's have a look at our code. So It's in JS render action, change prop. Now, node prop. That's interesting because yes, it is correct. Change to. So the logic here is we've got a thing called a node prop, which is extension of node base. But actually, almost all of the approved looks like node change prop needs to work on node base rather than node prop. If we change that, let's start by changing that. User intruder is node base, right? It should be generalized to a node base, yes. Correct. Right. Now we're getting somewhere. Stop. Okay, undo those changes. We don't want to be modifying anything around here yet. Now I can see what the problem is that the right, new next file from prop. Hopefully I just didn't. Let's just press undo on this. Let's get rid of all of that. The fun one is that the indentation that it uses actually is a good indicator of what's changed. Okay, so. Let's have a look at the change. Let's make this simpler and add a new from node. And a change to node. Will also require a, this bit is going to cause a problem. The idea is to is that when we serialize these nodes for storage, we don't want to copy all the children, because obviously it's quite pointless because you're only modifying the properties. Right, node dot new from node flat is to from prop it parts. So we want to do a little bit of modification there. Okay, so add a new constructor, new node from node flat. Add change from node constructor. Add change to node method. Where does that one come from? Change to node. Hold on. Stop. Okay, yeah. So okay. So it's like the change to node is the mirrored version of this one. I think after we've done this, we might simplify the change to accept a change base, because we can do a check on the type. So from node ID is node. Okay, we can simplify this. Let's let it finish and add this to the queue. Okay, we don't really need from node, just do an is, just change the interface to node base and do an is test. To decide if we should call node prop to serialize. So I'm going to change the interface there a bit. That shouldn't affect anything because the constructors would be fine. See what? We have a little trick here that we actually automatically commit every change we're doing at the moment if the file's edited, in which case the accept and whatever doesn't get done. So okay, so that's correct. Is node true. Now the question goes is, do we care if it's working on that? And I think the phrase is so actually intelligently it got rid of the change Now, run. So here's a question going, does it really need to do all of that, and what's, let's ask you what it thinks. Is node truly needed? Actually, I think it probably is. However, what we can say is quite a bit of this code is duplicated in what we can simplify, remove code. This is a good example of how the AI code tends to overwrite code and not really get it to think through the reduction of code rules. So yep, now it's chucked out all of that, and it's quite a lot simpler now. And yep. Okay, so it's now, okay, that does seem to work as expected. I wonder, your next file. Okay, so this is the file we started working with, and it looks like change prop. Let's just have a look at. Obviously, our we normally have a. If we go to node base, we normally have the language server running, in which case it would actually tell us what's going on. It's sort of interesting that we've got errors, but the here we have now. Modify. Let's have a look. Modify. Order. So parent. So prop type. Modify. So yeah, it just sets it. This is because technically we're not allowed to modify the type unless we do it through an action. What's interesting is that we actually didn't it's interesting to see how that's done, because we are not really applying the logic here. So the idea originally of this change prop is that we would then use that to modify the node that's being changed, sort of thing. But we protect a lot of the modification of the types. Now, let's leave that for now. I mean, it almost screams at me that I should be saying something like we should, rather than calling that change 2, we should be possibly doing key values on that node. No, I think it's okay for now. But yeah, I think that's keep all. Yeah, I think we'll go for that. And since I may as well save myself some Ninja-C build. Let's see, it should build okay. Hold on, stop that. Okay, let's tell it to convert the BGS to a vala. Stop that. We have a script for this in the rule. So this is one of the issues I have quite frequently, is that the code, although we've given it cursor rules, which are many of, so there's one here which is BJS compilation rule, it has a habit of not following them. Now, this is partly because we've had to make a rule because there's a bug in the old version that I haven't really got bothered around fixing. That it, the tool is using at the moment is a test bit of code to generate vala, which was added a long time ago, and it found out that it's actually quite useful for working in this method. Okay, so it's going to build it for me, and it says it was successful. So let's see how successful it was. Now this is the interesting one. It may bugger up the file, or it may have already buggered up the file. So the shipping and the builder. Okay, so actually I think the fun trick was change this one into a row form dot text area. Okay, you can see changed it there, which means it actually applied the change. Preview the generated code. Let's change it back to a text field, and we can see it changes it back to the text field as well, and the preview of the works fine. So from that purpose, I think we've succeeded there. Now what I'm quickly going to do, because it's been bugging me a bit, is we're actually going to fire up the old roobuilder, which is the pre version prior to this, which it looks pretty similar. We run it on the builder, and we look at the left prop. Yeah, pretty left. So this is the file we were editing, which you would see the JSON before. how interesting you see, it's doing a lot of work down there. So what we actually do in the background when we're doing this is we make a compile of it, and we've got access to all the different types, etc. Now you can see here the class. Let's close up. It's a case of there's still a bug with our drag and drop, but okay, you can see that's the scroll. That's our box, prop row, label class, and what I want to do is I actually want to stick this. Wait for it to select. Okay, I want to stick that above there. Now, default behavior on this is to copy whenever you drag. You can press Control and it'll cancel that. And you see the class is down there. And actually, I decided it's probably not necessary to have the class word, because honestly it's kind of obvious. So we're actually going to delete that. Now I wonder if we have any properties, let's see, that we can do on here. It would be nice for that to show. So tooltip text. Okay, this is the class, the node. You can change it. We currently don't validate if the new type be valid though. Okay, does that work on here? There we go. That's interesting, because we do all this in Glade at the moment, or the GTK Builder or whatever. It's actually quite a good example of this thing working. Property name here, I think the only thing I would change there, it kind of needs a colon after it. Now, this I think could be slightly better styled, but I'm honestly not bothered. And I don't know whether, did we add in, let's have a look. Anyway, it's, yeah. Yeah, so we add property here, and a button, clicked. Yeah, so adding a property, a couple of these. I don't know whether, I think I've already changed these to use the new, yep, node action, yep, CTOR. So these are all now using the new pack add, yep. So yeah, those are all using it. So let's close that up for now. Run a Ninja build. And while we're at that, so we've gone from having used 17, let's see, do that operation, and we've peaked usage now. And we're now on our on-demand one. So I've got that. I may increase that by the looks of it this week. But yeah, this is going to illustrate why in the long run we've already purchased and waiting for delivery for a sort of a 128 gig memory Ryzen AI chip based machine, because the $20 a week maybe, yeah, talking about 80 to 100 US dollars. I mean, it's not huge, but as we get to use it more, I don't know whether it's going to become a little unsustainable, and you don't know whether really the price is going to go up as well. So let's have a look at the finalised change there from all of that. Shipping, and go in here, and the bugs again. So actually what I will do very quickly is just restore the file. So we've got a problem that it's not saving the file correctly, but that's obviously what I will do now. Is like, let's update the plan and say that the changing class works okay now, but add to that list that saving the file after changes as an issue. Thanks out to children. So hopefully he's going to find the right plan to change, and he's going to start using my budget for extra money as well. Yep. View the next file. There we go. So class selection. It's actually interesting. He's expanded the. I didn't realise it had expand. Drop in proper, then drop my name. Oh, so this is event 4. We're actually on 8 now. Now phase 4. Now we were actually. I think we were on analyze. We are actually on phase 9. Undo that last change. Apply it there. So it actually ended up changing phase 4, which we'd done ages ago. We're obviously not going to go backwards to do that. I don't know why it thought updating that was a good idea. So, I wonder if we were using auto before. So later yep. So new pull down for type completed. Leave that to do is general to the significant changes not related to this item. Let's stop it. Stop. Let's change this back to auto. That might be interesting to see if it carries on. This is where you go think, well, why am I using the AI? I could just have moved that to myself, really, which is you sort of get into that habit of giving it stuff to do, and as usual, so that's correct. That's correct. Works. So he's now lost that note completely. Okay, let's keep. Prop name editor, not updating left tree. Okay. In progress. Where am I editing this file? Okay. Well, actually, no, I'm not actually doing that. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to call that one completed. So this project is nope, don't care about that. Let's keep this and then see what. This is, yeah, this is. Okay, let's call it a day at that and see how that video looks.